Hey everyone, Roger here. Today I'm going to show you a little bit about how I do these sculpted rooty bases for model fir trees. Alright, let's get on with it. So I'm using this generalized Red Devil painter's caulk, which is quite malleable. It's not too thick. I've got a Blick matte acrylic paint and a little bit of this raw umber all mixed together in a little tray. Approximately 3/4 of the caulk and 25% everything else. Pretty basic sculpting tools here. A couple of these little palette knives. This one I like for picking up the material and placing it on the tree initially. Here's a sculpting fork. And that, bark detail, that sort of thing. And this is what I prefer to mix everything with when I'm putting it all together. This is used occasionally. Well, I didn't really show this step where I add the stainless steel planting pin and how I do that. And then at the same time, I add the little fibers. And so I should probably do that. So I'm going to go ahead and just work backwards here a little bit. This is the trimming of the end of the planting pin, which I use as side cutters and kind of grab it and twist it there a little bit, and then off that goes. And now I've got a super sharp, super duper, we need to be careful point on the end of that tree at the base. And I've also got the fibers on, and they're going to dry. So I'm going to go ahead and place that somewhere where that will be ready to go. Okay, so let's go through another one here. Again, I start with the trunk. It's already got the hole drilled in the base. And I've got a little catch bin here. This is the head end of the stainless steel pin. It's got the big fat end on there. And then this, I'm going to trim and make it sharp like that. I'm going to go and add yellow glue. Probably white glue would work too. I tend to use yellow glue. Smear it all over the place because I'm also going to add the fibers that are going to create that rooty base. And here I use a different pair of pliers to grab and very gently twist, and always be careful because if it breaks free from the wood, it's going to get you, and we don't want that. So okay, in it goes. And now I can go ahead and trim the end. I also kind of twist again a little bit sometimes. All right, there we are. Now I just need to add a little of the fibers here. Get some of those on there, just like so, not a ton. And then with this tool, this little, another little sculpting tool, here we are, kind of tap those down in. Now, the more glue this tool acquires, it's not going to work very well after it gets too much glue. So once in a while, you've got to do something. And that becomes our rooty base right there with a very sharp tip. So be cautious. And that's ready to be planted in a tray and can dry until it gets to the next step. So the basic process, pick up a trunk. I've already glued some of these sisal fibers to the base, and then with this one I like to apply not only to the above but also on the bottom part, just to kind of really get that all connected together well, and then it's just kind of a free-for-all, trying to sculpt it in a proportion that would be represent a realistic root detail and slope around the base of the tree trunk. So this could be a cedar tree or a Doug fir tree, perhaps a spruce tree, and this is quite liquidy, so it's not going to hold super duper bark detail here, but I am going to sculpt in a little bit there. Sorry about the lighting. This is poor black background lighting here. I can see that now. Have to do something. Okay, so, and I try to do them quickly and not get too involved straight away. You can always go back over it later. All right. You can kind of see a silhouette there. Well, this is how they look when they're dry. So you can see the roots, obviously. And some could use perhaps a little more detail, actually. Or perhaps a little more width. I would like to see a little more width of the added to the bases of the trunk on these. Here's one that's, this would be a swampy cedar tree. It is extra wide, gnarly base on that one. Likewise here. Okay. And this one here is pretty simple. Okay. So that one I would add a little extra to, perhaps. All right, that's what's going on. Thanks for checking it out. So I'm just adding a little bit more compound here. It just felt like these roots just weren't quite, it wasn't just quite what I wanted at the base. So I just added some more, and I will sculpt it momentarily and get some nice grooves going on there so that it blends in well with what's up above it. So you can just do an extra application basically and kind of bring things together a little better. Well, actually, I've been fooling around with the camera trying to get the lighting a little better in here, and the compound actually has already begun to become sticky. So I'm having a little bit of a time here doing a decent sculpting job. Wow, this stuff dries really fast. I tend to kind of sculpt upside down there. So yeah, that's a little better. Okay, so this will probably be, you know, it's getting pretty close here to being something worth going forward with. I like this in this area right here. I like this curvature better than the first go where I apply the compound. So here's another one here. that I probably want to add. Just a little square right there. I just want to add a little bit right there and kind of just help that along. All right, so that's a little bit of an improvement there. It's probably better to look at these right side up. There we go. The roots kind of started out as a trivial feature added to the Coastman's line of model fir trees, but I like the effect so much, I just want to do it to every tree. Thanks for checking it out.